Hi there, history enthusiasts. Today we're diving into the incredible journey of the world's most popular sport, football, or soccer, as some call it. Ever wondered how a simple game of kicking a ball turned into a global phenomenon? Stay with us to uncover its humble origins, fascinating evolution, and the legendary stories that made it the beautiful game we all love today. Football, as we know it, has roots buried deep in ancient history. Although its modern form originated in England, variations of the game have been played for thousands of years in different parts of the world. One of the earliest known instances comes from China during the Han Dynasty, 206 BC to 220 AD. The game, called Kyuju, involved kicking a leather ball through a small hole into a silk net without using hands, a precursor to modern football. Meanwhile, in ancient Greece and Rome, games resembling football were also played. The Greeks had episkairos, while the Romans had harpastum. Both were highly physical, team-based sports, though their rules differed vastly from what we see today. These ancient games were more about strategy and brute force than finesse. As centuries passed, football evolved in Europe, particularly during the Middle Ages. It was often a chaotic affair, with entire villages participating in matches that stretched across fields, streets, and even rivers. These early forms of football were called folk football, and there were few rules to limit the mayhem. Goals could be miles apart, and tackling an opponent was as much a part of the game as kicking the ball. The turning point came in the 19th century when England began organizing football matches with standardized rules. Public schools like Eton, Harrow, and Rugby played a key role in shaping the game. In 1863, the Football Association, FA, was established in London, marking the official birth of modern football. This move standardized the rules and distinguished football from rugby, which had splintered off into its own sport. This part of the story ends with football spreading its wings beyond England. By the late 19th century, British sailors, traders, and workers took the game to every corner of the globe, laying the foundation for the sport's universal appeal. As football spread across continents, it quickly captured hearts and ignited passions in every corner of the world. By the early 20th century, clubs and competitions began forming in Europe, South America, and beyond. Local leagues sprouted up, offering communities a sense of pride and identity. The first professional football clubs, like Sheffield FC, paved the way for what would become an explosion of organized sports culture. In 1904, an international governing body called FIFA, Fédération Internationale de Football Association, was founded in Paris. Its mission was to oversee the game on a global scale and unify the rules. This marked the beginning of football's transformation into a professional sport with international reach. One of FIFA's early achievements was the organization of the World Cup, first held in Uruguay in 1930. 13 teams competed in that inaugural tournament, with Uruguay emerging as the victor. The World Cup would go on to become the most-watched sporting event on the planet, uniting billions of fans every 4 years. The rise of football wasn't without challenges. In Europe, the sport endured interruptions during the World Wars. However, these periods also highlighted football's power to bring people together, even in times of adversity. Soldiers from opposing sides were famously reported to have played impromptu matches during the Christmas truce of World War I, showcasing football as a universal language of peace. By the mid-20th century, South America had cemented its status as a football powerhouse, with nations like Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay producing legendary talents. Players like Pelé, known as the King of Football, and Diego Maradona, whose hand of God goal remains iconic, became global idols. Meanwhile, in Europe, clubs like Real Madrid, Manchester United, and AC Milan built dynasties dominating leagues and tournaments. The establishment of the UEFA Champions League in 1955 brought the continent's top clubs into fierce competition, raising the game's standards and showcasing unparalleled skills. As television became a household staple in the mid-20th century, football's popularity skyrocketed. The ability to broadcast matches brought the beautiful game into living rooms across the world, turning local heroes into international superstars. The 1954 World Cup in Switzerland was the first to be televised, a milestone that forever changed the way the sport was consumed. This era also saw the rise of some of the most iconic players in history. Pelé, with his unmatched skill and 3 World Cup victories, became a symbol of football's magic. Meanwhile, Eusebio, Johan Cruyff, and George Best dazzled fans with their unique styles, inspiring generations of players. Football's growth wasn't limited to Europe and South America. By the late 20th century, Asia, Africa, and North America began carving out their niches. The Africa Cup of Nations, first held in 1957, highlighted the immense talent in the continent. Players like Roger Milla and George Weah showcased African flair, breaking barriers and inspiring pride. The United States, traditionally dominated by baseball and American football, started embracing soccer more seriously. The North American Soccer League, NASL, brought global stars like Pelé and Johan Cruyff stateside in the 1970s, laying the groundwork for the MLS, Major League Soccer, established in 1996. In the modern era, the game evolved into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Manchester City boast astronomical revenues, with sponsorships, broadcasting rights, and merchandising creating unprecedented financial opportunities. Technology, too, began playing a bigger role. The introduction of VAR, video assistant referee, and goal line technology has added layers of precision to the game, sparking debates but also ensuring fairness. Social media platforms have connected players with fans in real time, turning football into a 24/7 phenomenon. Yet, despite all the changes, the essence of football remains timeless. A ball, a field, and the unbridled joy of scoring a goal. That's the history of football.